In the digital age, the familiar borders between countries and continents are erased with a single click of a mouse. Modern children are born into a world where communicating with a peer from another country is as easy as talking to the person next to them at their desk. But this new reality has brought with it a unique challenge: the need to understand and respect cultural differences in the virtual space. Digital etiquette is becoming not just a set of rules, but a key to harmonious existence in the global online community. Every message, emoji, or comment can be perceived differently depending on the recipient's cultural context. To a teenager from Japan, the directness of an American peer might seem rude, while a European schoolchild might not understand the restraint in expressing emotions shown by an interlocutor from Asia. The internet has created a paradoxical situation. While physically in their own cultural environment, children daily immerse themselves in a multinational digital space where they have to intuitively master the unspoken rules of intercultural interaction. Delving into virtual space, children unwittingly encounter invisible cultural barriers that often go unnoticed until a conflict arises. High-context cultures, such as Japanese or Chinese, place enormous importance on unstated context and nuances. A child from such an environment might perceive a direct question from a European peer as tactlessness. Low-context cultures, American, German, on the contrary, value clarity and specificity, and perceive understatement as evasiveness or even deception. These differences are evident even in ordinary game server chats. When a Korean teenager writes, "Maybe we can play later," for him it's a polite form of refusal. But an American peer will perceive it as a real promise and will later be disappointed. The attitude towards hierarchy also creates invisible obstacles. In countries with a high power distance, India, Russia, Arab states, children are accustomed to strict subordination. They might feel discomfort from the overly familiar tone that is natural for Scandinavian or Australian children who grew up in an egalitarian culture. Different perceptions of time create another field for misunderstanding. For a teenager from Germany or Switzerland, being 5 minutes late for a virtual meeting is a sign of disrespect, whereas for a peer from Latin America or the Middle East, such punctuality might seem excessive pedantry. These cultural clashes form children's first experience of intercultural adaptation, forcing them to realize that their own norms of behavior are just one of many equally valid systems of values. Social networks have become true bridges between cultures, especially for the younger generation. Instagram, TikTok, and Discord have transformed into global platforms where children from different parts of the world spontaneously master international communication norms. Every day, millions of teenagers exchange comments under posts, create joint content, and participate in international challenges without even realizing that they are simultaneously undergoing an intensive course in intercultural communication. A 13-year-old schoolgirl from Moscow might subscribe to a Korean K-pop blogger, an American gamer, and a French artist, imperceptibly immersing herself in different cultural contexts. In the comments under a viral TikTok video, teenagers from 5 continents might meet, and they have to find common ground despite their differences. Discord servers dedicated to popular games or hobbies gather children from dozens of countries, forming unique micro-communities with their own communication rules. Here, teenagers learn to adapt their communication style for an international audience, to be clearer, to avoid culturally specific jokes that might be misinterpreted. They intuitively begin to use more neutral phrasing and universal symbols. It is noteworthy that these platforms not only reflect cultural differences, but also contribute to the formation of a new, global digital culture. Young users often do not realize that by adapting to international norms of online etiquette, they become more flexible in perceiving different points of view. Such an experience of spontaneous intercultural exchange was impossible to obtain just a generation ago. Social platforms are turning into informal schools of tolerance, where lessons of intercultural interaction are learned through daily practice, rather than through theoretical admonitions. In the world of digital communication, a unique phenomenon has emerged. A universal language understood by children regardless of their native culture. Emojis, memes, and internet slang have become a new Esperanto, overcoming traditional linguistic barriers. A smiling face, a laughing crying emoji, or an "okay" gesture instantly convey emotions without a single word, allowing teenagers from Brazil and Japan to understand each other without an interpreter. However, even in this visual language, cultural pitfalls lurk. The same emoji can carry different meanings depending on the cultural context. The thumbs up sign, perceived by Western children as approval, is considered an offensive gesture in some Middle Eastern countries. The emoji depicting a hand joining the thumb and index finger means everything's great in the USA, money in Japan, and can be perceived as an indecent gesture in Brazil. Memes also become points of cultural exchange and potential misunderstanding. Chinese teenagers create and spread memes based on local realities and wordplay that may be incomprehensible to their American peers. At the same time, global memes, such as famous frames from popular movies or video games, form a common cultural code understood by children worldwide. It is interesting to observe how a new hybrid language is born in the process of this exchange. Teenagers from different countries borrow expressions from each other, creating unique combinations. Russian-speaking children use English abbreviations like LOL or OMG, while American teenagers may adopt Japanese expressions from anime culture. This cultural interexchange happens naturally and effortlessly, shaping a global worldview among young users. Multiplayer online games have become true virtual platforms for intercultural communication. Here, children and teenagers from different countries unite not just for entertainment, but to achieve common goals. In Minecraft, Fortnite, or Roblox, a player's geographical location doesn't matter. Only their skills, strategic thinking, and ability to work in a team are important. A 12-year-old boy from Singapore can lead the construction of a virtual city together with peers from Russia, Brazil, and Canada. And in this process, they naturally overcome cultural differences. Gaming situations require quick decision-making and clear communication, forcing children to adapt their communication style to an international audience. They learn to be tolerant of accents and linguistic errors, because in the heat of a virtual battle, understanding the essence of the message is more important than paying attention to its form. Conflicts in gaming communities become micro-lessons in diplomacy. When a South Korean teenager disagrees with a tactic proposed by an American teammate, they have to find a compromise, taking into account different approaches to leadership and decision-making. What is especially valuable is that these lessons in intercultural interaction take place in an engaging way, without coercion or formal instructions. Children themselves create the rules of conduct in their guilds and clans, intuitively building a system of values acceptable to players with different cultural backgrounds. They quickly understand that success in the virtual world depends on the ability to find common ground with those who think and act differently. Thus, the gaming space becomes an ideal laboratory for developing tolerance and empathy in the digital age. The digital space, connecting children from different parts of the world, inevitably creates fertile ground for cultural clashes. 13-year-old Mark from Germany once called his Japanese online gaming companion by name without an honorific suffix, which caused silent displeasure. For the German teenager, direct address is the norm. For the Japanese, it's a sign of disrespect. Such micro-conflicts occur daily in thousands of chats and forums. Cultural differences are particularly evident in the perception of humor. British sarcasm, understandable to European children, can seem offensive to teenagers from cultures where directness is valued. American schoolgirl Emily posted a self-deprecating meme in an international group, but received concerned messages from peers in South Korea who mistook the joke for a real problem. The concept of personal space also varies across cultures. Teenagers from Middle Eastern countries may ask questions about family that their European interlocutors perceive as an invasion of privacy. American children often share personal photos, which can shock peers from conservative societies. Surprisingly, it is precisely these digital conflicts that become the most effective teachers of intercultural competence. After a misunderstanding, children usually do not break contact but seek to understand the reasons. They ask questions, search for explanations online, and consult with older users. Gradually, an understanding forms. What seems like a universal rule of politeness is, in fact, just one of many cultural norms. Each such experience expands a child's emotional intelligence, teaching them to look at a situation through the eyes of someone with a different cultural background. This informal learning is often more effective than tolerance lessons at school because it occurs in the real context of communication that is significant to the child. In the era of global digital communication, technology not only creates challenges for intercultural interaction, but also offers innovative solutions. Modern digital tools are becoming invisible helpers for children in overcoming language and cultural barriers. Automatic translators have long moved beyond primitive literal translation and now consider cultural context. 12-year-old Sonia from St. Petersburg can communicate with a peer from Tokyo thanks to neural network translators that adapt not only words but also communication style, choosing expressions of politeness appropriate in Japanese culture. Smart algorithms warn about potentially ambiguous phrases and suggest culturally neutral alternatives. Interactive cultural reference guides, built into messengers and social networks, allow users to learn the meaning of an unfamiliar gesture or expression in the interlocutor's culture with a single tap. When a Malaysian schoolchild sends a hand emoji, the system can inform a European user that this symbol has a special meaning in Asian culture. Adaptive application interfaces adjust to users' cultural characteristics. For children from high-context cultures, they offer more visual cues and implicit signals, and for representatives of low-context cultures, more direct instructions. Many educational platforms use augmented reality technologies, allowing children to virtually immerse themselves in the interlocutor's cultural environment. A teenager from Mexico can see what a school classroom looks like in Sweden, and a Norwegian student can peek into a typical Indian home. These technological solutions not only facilitate communication, but also stimulate curiosity, turning intercultural communication from a challenge into an exciting adventure. In the digital world, adults play a crucial role as guides for children navigating intercultural online communication. Parents, educators, and platform developers shape the environment in which young users learn to respect cultural differences. However, effective mentorship today is not about rigid control, but conscious guidance. New generation parents face a challenging task. Most of them learned to use the internet as adults and did not have experience with international online communication in childhood. They have to learn alongside their children, showing genuine interest in their digital lives. When 12-year-old Maria tells her mother about a misunderstanding with her South Korean pen pal, a wise parent will not dismiss it with "stop communicating with foreigners," but will help her understand the cultural differences, perhaps even by reading together about Korean traditions. Educators are on the front lines of shaping digital etiquette. Progressive teachers integrate international online projects into their lessons, where school children from different countries work on collaborative assignments. Such experiences allow children to practice intercultural communication in a safe environment, under the unobtrusive guidance of adults. Creators of digital platforms bear a special responsibility, developing interfaces and rules that can either reinforce or smooth over cultural barriers. When a popular gaming platform introduces an automatic chat translation system or offers culturally neutral emojis, it creates a space for more comfortable intercultural dialogue. In a world where digital technologies erase geographical boundaries, innovative educational initiatives are emerging to help children master the intricacies of intercultural communication. The Digital Bridges project, launched in 20 countries, connects school classes from different continents to collaborate on creative tasks. Through video conferences, shared documents, and messengers, children from Indonesia and Finland jointly create digital stories, simultaneously learning about each other's cultural peculiarities. Gamification is becoming a powerful tool for teaching intercultural competence. The educational platform Cultural Quest offers teenagers virtual journeys through countries around the world, where they solve puzzles based on real cultural scenarios. To pass the Tokyo level, a European child needs to master Japanese norms of non-verbal communication and hierarchy. Storytelling also proves its effectiveness in fostering tolerance. The international project Stories Without Borders brings together children from conflicting regions to create joint digital comics. Israeli and Palestinian schoolchildren, working on a common narrative, learn to see the situation through each other's eyes. Initiatives created by teenagers themselves are of particular value. 16-year-old Amina from Morocco launched the Discord server Cultural Exchange, where thousands of children share the specifics of their traditions and customs. Such projects work more effectively than formal programs, as children are more willing to learn from peers. In the digital world, where emotions are hidden behind text and emojis, digital empathy, the ability to feel and understand the emotional state of an interlocutor even without non-verbal cues, takes on special value. This skill becomes fundamental for successful intercultural communication among children online. When a Japanese schoolchild writes "maybe" in response to an invitation, it's important for their Western peer to recognize that this is a polite form of refusal, not an expression of uncertainty. Digital empathy requires not only emotional intelligence, but also cultural awareness. Children intuitively master the subtle nuances of online communication through daily practice. 11-year-old Sophia from Russia noticed that her American friend uses more exclamation marks and emojis than is customary in Russian correspondence. Instead of considering this excessive emotionality, the girl understood, for Americans, the absence of these elements can signal coldness or irritation. Parents can develop digital empathy through simple exercises, showing children the same message in different cultural contexts, and discussing possible interpretations. School programs are increasingly including role-playing games where children try to communicate on behalf of characters from other cultures, realizing the difference in communicative styles. It is noteworthy that many teenagers become true masters of digital empathy, easily switching between different cultural codes depending on the interlocutor, a skill that many adults find difficult to acquire. Forming tolerance in the digital environment requires a systematic approach and specific tools. We offer 5 practical strategies that parents and educators can use today. The first is creating a cultural diary. Suggest that the child start a digital journal where they will record interesting cultural discoveries made during online communication. When a Thai friend explains why it is not customary to touch someone's head in their culture, it becomes not just a fact, but a personal experience that fosters respect for differences. The second strategy is role-playing games with cultural code switching. Organize family or classroom sessions where participants must communicate according to the norms of a specific culture. Today, everyone follows Japanese etiquette. Tomorrow, Brazilian. Such exercises develop flexibility of thinking and show the relativity of familiar norms. The third method is virtual cultural exchanges. Use video conferencing to organize meetings between children from different countries, where they can share features of their daily life, holidays, and school life. The fourth practice is analyzing intercultural misunderstandings. Discuss real cases of online conflicts arising from cultural differences with children and together look for possible solutions. Finally, the fifth strategy is creating intercultural creative projects. Encourage children to collaborate with foreign peers in creating digital stories, games, or presentations that combine elements of different cultures. What will the norms of digital etiquette be in a decade? Technology is developing at a dizzying pace, and today's children, mastering intercultural communication on the internet, will become the architects of a new global digital culture. Virtual reality will transform the very concept of online interaction. Instead of exchanging text messages, teenagers will meet in virtual spaces where non-verbal communication will acquire new meaning. Avatars will begin to convey emotions and cultural characteristics more accurately, and simultaneous translation technologies will allow communication without language barriers. In these conditions, digital etiquette will become more nuanced, taking into account not only text, but also virtual proxemics, the distance between avatars, their poses, and gestures. Artificial intelligence will act as a cultural mediator, subtly adapting avatar behavior to the norms of the interlocutors. When a Japanese school child meets a Brazilian in a virtual space, AI will adjust the distance between them. Further for the Japanese, closer for the Brazilian, creating a comfortable zone for both. Children who grew up in an era of constant intercultural interaction will form a new type of identity, transcultural. They will freely switch between different cultural codes, intuitively adapting their behavior to the context. This is not just proficiency in several languages, but a deep understanding of different worldviews. Paradoxically, the globalization of digital space may lead to a resurgence of interest in local cultures. In a world where everyone can instantly immerse themselves in any culture, unique traditions will become a valuable resource for self-expression and identity building.